Picture this: a single flickering bulb dangling above a kitchen table, casting jagged shadows over a mess of wrenches and pipe fittings that don't belong there. That's where I'm standing right now, hands on my hips, staring at the chaos that's become my life. My name's Iris, I'm 34, and I've spent the better part of a decade trying to make sense of a marriage that feels like it's slipping through my fingers. My husband, Bennett, is a plumber, a good one, too, but his world is all copper pipes and late-night emergencies. I'm just the ghost haunting the edges of his day, unseen, unheard, waiting for a moment that never comes. Our home is small, cramped with the weight of unspoken things. Tools are everywhere, not just on the table but spilling into the living room, cluttering the hallway. There's always this faint smell of pipe grease hanging in the air, like a stubborn memory that won't fade. I used to laugh about it, tease Bennett that he smelled more like metal than man, but those days are long gone. Now the silence is what gets me. It's not just quiet, it's heavy, pressing down on me in every room. I wander through this place, picking up a stray socket wrench or wiping down a countertop, just to feel like I'm doing something, anything, to fill the void where our conversations used to be. I've tried, you know. I've left little notes on the fridge, scribbled in my messy handwriting. Things like miss you, let's talk tonight, or dinner's ready when you are. Most of them go unread, or if Bennett sees them, he just mumbles something about being swamped. I've called him during those endless nights when he's out fixing someone else's burst pipe, my voice small and hopeful through the phone, asking if he's okay, if he'll be home soon. His answers are always the same: tired grunts, a sigh, and a promise of tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, not really. It's just another day of waiting, another day of feeling like I'm fading into the wallpaper of our life. There's this restlessness growing inside me, like a low hum I can't turn off. I want to be seen, to be heard, to feel something other than this aching loneliness. I crave connection, a spark, anything to remind me I'm still here. Bennett's not a bad man, he's just absent. And I'm tired of being the only one reaching out, tired of grasping at air. I've started to wonder if I'm the problem, if I've forgotten how to ask for what I need, or if I even know what that is anymore. Lately, I've found a sliver of relief in an unexpected place. There's this online group I stumbled into a while back, a space for casual chats about life, hobbies, whatever's on your mind. That's where I met Quentin, Trent, and Harvey. I don't know them well yet, but there's something about their words on the screen that feels like a lifeline. It was just another lonely evening when everything started to shift for me. Bennett had been called out on yet another emergency plumbing job, leaving me alone in our dimly lit living room. The TV was on, flickering with some reality show I couldn't even pretend to care about. The sound was just background noise, a hollow attempt to fill the void. But the silence, it wasn't just the absence of sound. It was a weight pressing down on my chest, wrapping around me like a cold, invisible hand. I sat there on the sagging couch, staring at the screen but seeing nothing, feeling the emptiness of the house creep into my bones. I couldn't take it anymore. My fingers twitched with this restless need to do something, anything, to break free from that suffocating quiet. So I grabbed my laptop from the coffee table, the screen's glow a harsh contrast to the muted shadows around me. I logged into the online group, my heart giving a little thud as the chat window popped up. Quentin, Trent, and Harvey were already there, their usernames lighting up like tiny beacons in the dark. At first, it was just light stuff. Quentin cracking a joke about a disastrous date he'd been on, something about spilling wine all over his shirt and still not getting a second chance. I could almost hear his laugh through the text. Trent dropped a meme, some ridiculous image of a cat looking horrified at Cucumber, and I actually smiled for the first time that day. Harvey chimed in, asking how I was holding up, his words simple but carrying this unexpected warmth. I typed back, hesitant at first, just saying I was fine. But as the messages kept coming, I felt this spark inside me, this flicker of excitement I hadn't felt in months. It was like I was waking up, like I was being seen, even if it was just through a screen. Then the conversation took a turn I didn't see coming. Quentin tossed out this casual idea. Why don't we meet up in person? Just for laughs, he said, to get out of our heads for a bit. My breath caught in my throat. Meet up, in real life. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, frozen. Part of me wanted to slam the laptop shut, to retreat back into the safety of my lonely little bubble. But that silence, that crushing weight of being alone, it gnawed at me, whispering that this might be my chance to feel something different. I typed a shaky maybe, then deleted it, then typed it again. Finally, I hit send, my stomach twisting with nerves. The guys jumped on it right away, throwing out ideas for a spot. We settled on a seedy motel on the outskirts of town, a place with flickering neon signs and cheap rates, somewhere no one would know me, no one would ask questions. Felt secretive, almost thrilling, but also like I was stepping onto a tightrope with no net below as I pull into the gravel lot of the Sunset Motel. The flickering neon sign above the entrance buzzes erratically, casting a sickly green glow over my windshield. It's the kind of place that's seen better days, with chipped paint on the walls and a vibe that screams forgotten. My heart's pounding in my chest, a mix of nerves and something I can't quite name. Excitement, maybe, or just the thrill of doing something I shouldn't. I cut the engine, take a deep breath, and step out into the cool night air, the crunch of gravel under my boots louder than it should be. The hallway leading to room 12 smells like stale cigarette smoke, clinging to the faded carpet and seeping into my clothes as I walk. Each step feels heavier, like I'm wading through some invisible fog, until I reach the door. It's scratched up, the number 12 barely legible, and when I push it open, the creak of the hinges sounds like a warning I'm choosing to ignore. Inside, Quentin, Trent, and Harvey are already there, sprawled out like they own the place. Quentin's on the worn-out bed, propped up against the headboard with a cheap beer in his hand, his sly grin flashing as he spots me. He's got this sharp, quick wit about him, always ready with a comeback that cuts just close enough to the bone to make you laugh. Trent's in a mismatched chair by the window, his piercing gaze locking onto me for a moment before he nods, quiet as ever but intense, like he's always sizing up the room. There's something about the way he watches, like he sees more than he lets on, and it sends a shiver down my spine. Harvey, though, he's the one who softens the edges of it all, sitting cross-legged on the floor with a warm, disarming smile that instantly puts me at ease. He raises his beer in a mock toast as I shut the door behind me, and I can't help but smile back, even as my nerves jangle like loose change in my pocket. The room itself is a dump, no surprise there. Dim light from a single bulb overhead casts long shadows on the peeling wallpaper, yellowed with age and curling at the corners. The air's thick with the musty scent of neglect, mixed with the sharp tang of the beers they're cracking open. I drop my bag by the door and take a seat on the edge of the bed, accepting a cold cane from Harvey with a shaky laugh. We start talking, just easy stuff at first, stories about our lives, little snippets of who we are outside of those glowing chat windows. Quentin tells a wild tale about a bar fight he swears he didn't start, his hands gesturing wildly, that grin never fading. Trent opens up a bit, his voice low and steady, sharing how he's been working odd jobs just to keep the lights on. And there's a rawness to it that catches me off guard. Harvey, he's got this knack for storytelling, spinning a memory of a road trip gone wrong into something so funny I'm clutching my sides, tears in my eyes. For the first time in forever, I feel this rush of connection, a warmth spreading through me like I've been missing it my whole life. I'm laughing louder now, my voice mingling with theirs, bouncing off the grimy walls. The tension in the room shifts, though subtle at first, like a change in the wind you don't notice until it's right on top of you. The dim light seems to draw us closer, shadows playing tricks on my eyes as hands brush against mine, first by accident, then not. A whisper from Quentin, low and teasing, sends a jolt through me, his breath warm against my ear. Trent's gaze lingers longer, heavier, and Harvey's smile takes on a different edge, softer but loaded with something unspoken. My heart's racing, but I tell myself it's still harmless. Just a game. Just a way to fill the void that's been eating at me for months. I lean into it, letting the moment sweep me up, my own laughter sounding foreign to my ears as I play along with their banter. Their touches growing bolder. The drive back from the Sunset Motel feels like a fever dream, the dark road stretching out endlessly under the pale glow of my headlights. My hands grip the steering wheel tighter than necessary, knuckles white, as my mind churns with a storm of guilt and exhilaration. What have I done? The question loops in my head, relentless. But there's this other part of me, this reckless, buzzing part, that's still riding the high of feeling alive for the first time in years. The clock on the dashboard blinks 3:47 a.m. as I pull into our driveway, the house looming ahead like a silent judge. I cut the engine, sit there for a moment, listening to the tick of the cooling motor, trying to steady my breath. I've got to get inside without waking anyone, without leaving a trace of where I've been. I ease the car door shut with a soft click, wincing at even that tiny sound in the still night. My boots crunch lightly on the gravel path to the front door, and I fumble with my keys, the metal cold against my trembling fingers. The lock turns with a faint groan, and I slip inside, the familiar smell of pipe grease hitting me like a slap. The house is dark, save for the faint glow of a streetlight sneaking through the blinds. I kick off my boots by the door, careful not to let them thud, and tiptoe across the living room. Every step feels like a gamble. The old floorboards creak under my weight, each sound piercing the silence like a gunshot. I freeze, heart pounding, waiting to see if Bennett's voice will cut through the dark, asking where I've been. But there's nothing, just the hum of the fridge in the kitchen and my own ragged breathing. I make it to the hallway, past the clutter of tools scattered like landmines, and push open the bedroom door. The hinges squeak, and I grimace, slipping inside as fast as I can. The room is a void, cold and empty, the bed still made on Bennett's side. He's not home yet, probably still out on that emergency job. Relief washes over me, but it's tinged with something sour, something heavy. I peel off my jacket, the faint scent of stale cigarette smoke from the motel clinging to the fabric, and shove it into the back of the closet. Then I slide under the covers, the sheets icy against my skin, and lie there staring at the ceiling. My mind won't stop. It replays every moment from tonight, the laughter, the warmth of their voices, the way boundaries blurred until I didn't know where I stood anymore. Did I go too far? The thought gnaws at me, sharp and insistent, but I push it down, telling myself it was just one night, a mistake, a secret I can bury deep and never touch again. I'll wake up tomorrow, and it'll be like it never happened. I have to believe that. Sleep doesn't come easy, but when it does, it's restless, fragmented with half-dreams of neon lights and whispered words. When I finally drag myself awake, the morning light is harsh through the window, and the other side of the bed is still empty. Or so I think until I hear the faint clink of a mug downstairs. My stomach twists as I pull on a robe and pad toward the kitchen, each step heavier than the last. Bennett's there, sitting at the table, a cup of coffee steaming in front of him. His broad shoulders are hunched, his face unreadable as he stares at the black liquid like it holds some kind of answer. He doesn't look up as I enter, just mutters something about a long night at work, his voice rough, like he's chewed on gravel. I stand there, frozen for a second, feeling the tension in the air, thick and suffocating, like a storm waiting to break. I force myself to move, to act normal, mumbling something about making breakfast as I shuffle to the fridge. My voice betrays me, though. It trembles, just a little, but enough that I notice. I glance at Bennett out of the corner of my eye, and I see his hands around the mug, gripping it so tight his knuckles are pale, the tension in his fingers mirroring the storm I feel brewing inside me. I turn away quickly, pretending to rummage for eggs, but my hands are shaking so badly, I nearly drop the carton. The silence between us is a living thing now, heavier than ever, and I can't shake the feeling that he knows something, that the secret I thought I'd buried last night is clawing its way to the surface. I'm about to say something, anything to break the suffocating quiet, when he clears his throat, his voice low and deliberate. "Iris, come sit down. We need to talk." My heart stops. Those words, they're a guillotine blade hovering over me. I set the eggs down slowly, my mind racing with excuses, denials, anything to dodge whatever's coming. But there's no escaping the weight in his tone. I shuffle over to the living room, my stomach churning like I've swallowed acid, and that's when I see it, the laptop on the coffee table, its screen glowing faintly in the dim light filtering through the blinds. Bennett's already there, standing by the couch, his broad frame rigid like he's bracing for a fight. He doesn't look at me as I approach, just gestures to the seat beside him, his movements sharp, almost mechanical. I sit, my legs feeling like jelly, and the air in the room thickens, pressing down on me until I can barely breathe. He doesn't say a word at first, and that silence is worse than any accusation. My eyes are drawn to the laptop, to that eerie glow, and a cold dread settles in my chest. Then, with a slow, deliberate motion, Bennett reaches over and presses play. The screen flickers to life, and I'm hit with a wave of nausea as grainy footage fills the frame. It's room 12 at the Sunset Motel, captured in stark, unforgiving clarity. Every laugh, every touch, every whispered word I thought was hidden in the shadows of that grimy room. It's all there, playing out like a nightmare I can't wake up from. I see myself on that bed, leaning into Quentin's teasing whispers, my hand brushing against Harvey's as we laugh, Trent's heavy gaze lingering on me from across the room. The blood drains from my face, a cold sweat prickling at the back of my neck. My knees buckle under me, and I sink deeper into the couch, unable to tear my eyes away from the screen even as my stomach twists into knots. I want to scream, to stop the video, to smash the laptop into 1,000 pieces, but I'm frozen, pinned by the weight of my own betrayal staring back at me. The audio is tinny, distorted, but every word cuts like a knife. My voice, light and carefree, saying things I never meant for anyone else to hear. The footage rolls on, merciless, and I feel like I'm drowning, like the walls of our little living room are closing in. I steal a glance at Bennett, and the sight of him breaks something inside me. His face is a mask of hurt and betrayal, his jaw clenched so tight I can see the muscle twitching. His eyes are red-rimmed, glassy, like he's been crying for hours, and the pain in them is a physical thing, a punch to my gut. When he finally speaks, his voice cracks, raw and jagged, like he's forcing the words out through a throat full of glass. "How could you, Iris?" I open my mouth to respond, but nothing comes out at first. My lips tremble, and when I finally find my voice, it's weak, pathetic, a stammering mess of half-formed excuses. "Bennett, it's not what it looks like. I was lonely, okay? I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear it didn't mean anything." But the words sound hollow, even to my own ears. They're lies, flimsy and transparent, and I can see in his face that he doesn't believe me. That maybe. I don't even believe myself. I'm grasping at straws, trying to stitch together some version of the truth that doesn't make me the villain. But the weight of his stare cuts through every excuse I try to muster. I trail off, my voice dissolving into a shaky whisper, and the room falls silent again, save for the faint hum of the laptop fan. Bennett doesn't say anything more, just stands up abruptly, the scrape of his chair against the floor like a gunshot in the stillness. He walks out of the living room, his footsteps heavy on the creaky floorboards, leaving me alone with the damning glow of the screen. I sit there numb, as the reality of what I've done sinks deeper into my bones, a cold, unyielding ache that I can't shake. Days pass in a blur, each one wrapped in a fog of tense, suffocating silences. Bennett and I move through the house like ghosts, orbiting each other without ever truly meeting. We don't speak, not really, just clipped words when necessary, like "pass the salt," or "I'll be late tonight." His presence feels like a shadow I can't escape, a constant reminder of the chasm I've carved between us. I notice the small, painful details that tear at me in quiet moments. The way he's taken to sleeping on the couch now, his blanket folded neatly each morning as if to erase any trace of vulnerability. The empty space in the garage where his tools used to clutter the workbench, now cleared out like he's preparing to leave something behind. Maybe me. Every creak of the house, every groan of the old pipes, feels like an accusation, echoing the betrayal I can't undo. I catch myself staring at the kitchen table, where we used to share hurried breakfasts, and now it's just a barren expanse, a battlefield of unspoken hurt. I'm haunted by the weight of my actions, turning them over in my mind like jagged stones, each one cutting deeper. How did I let it get this far? How did I let loneliness twist me into someone I don't recognize? I think back to those endless nights alone, the ache for connection that gnawed at me until I couldn't think straight, until I convinced myself that a fleeting thrill could fill the void. But it didn't. It just shattered everything. I wonder if I've lost Bennett forever, if the man who once looked at me with quiet, steady love can ever see past the hurt I've caused. The thought is a knife in my chest, sharp and unrelenting, and I don't know how to pull it out. I try to reach out, desperate to bridge the gap, even if it's just a sliver. One evening after he's gone to bed, or rather to the couch, I sit at the kitchen table under that same flickering bulb, a pen trembling in my hand. I pour my heart onto a piece of paper, the words messy and raw, an apology that feels inadequate but is all I have. I tell him I'm sorry, that I know I've broken something precious, that I'll do anything to rebuild even a fraction of what we had. I beg for a chance, just one, to prove I can be better. I fold the letter with shaking fingers and leave it on the table where he'll see it in the morning, my heart pounding with a fragile hope. But the next day, it's still there, untouched, like a silent rejection. He doesn't mention it, doesn't even glance at it when he grabs his coffee and heads out the door. The sting of that indifference cuts deeper than any words could. One night, I find myself alone in our bedroom, the silence of the house pressing in like a physical weight. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, the mattress dipping under me, and I pull one of Bennett's old flannel shirts from the closet. It still smells like him, faint traces of pipe grease and the earthy scent of his aftershave, and I clutch it to my chest like it's a lifeline. The fabric is soft, worn from years of use, and as I bury my face in it, the tears come unbidden, hot and relentless. They soak into the shirt, each sob racking through me as I realize the depth of the pain I've inflicted. I've hurt him in a way I can't take back, shattered the trust we built, and now, as the weight of my actions settles heavily on my shoulders, I know that the only path forward is to seek forgiveness and hope that time can mend what I have broken. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.